Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. For a bit of housekeeping, we're cleaning up the team previews. I know it's February, but completeness requires the Men's World Tour teams to be finished, and we have EF Education EasyPost to do today. Now, we kind of did a preview live in at the Tour Down Under, but I guess that didn't go out to everybody, so we'll do it here and go through their 2024 results, whether their season was a success, their transfers, as well as what their schedule should be, how many World Tour victories they'll have, and any hot takes as well. So why don't you go through their 2024 season, Benji, where actually it was quite different to, I think, their strategy and approach to the season compared to maybe 21-22.
Yeah, that's quite true. But I still think if you look at the last 2 years, there's a bit of a trend here. For example, 2024, 24 victories, of which 4 World Tour victories, 2 Grand Tour stage victories. Then we look at 2023, 26 victories, 4 World Tour victories, once again, 2 Grand Tour stage victories. And even in a year where they weren't successful, in my opinion, which is 2022, 9 victories, which is not much at all, 3 World Tour victories, and 2 Grand Tour stage victories. So regardless of what happens throughout the entire season, EF manages to get at least 2 Grand Tour stage victories every single year. And now 2021 was their greatest year of the last 4, I would say, because I think they had like 6-7 World Tour victories, quite a bit of victories there in World Tour, so they fell off a little bit in that regard, but they may be a bit more robust on either side of the team, but there's still spaces where they lack a certain type of rider. And we'll go through the results of 2024 now, and I'll start with the one-day races, because first of all, we see Bettiol, the beacon of inconsistency, getting 5th at MSR, which is a good result in my opinion for him. And at RVV, a top 10. Oh, when I was listing these results, by the way, I had to think back to the RVV that Bettiol won, and I gotta say, that was single-handedly the worst Ronde van Vlaanderen I have seen in my entire life. I swear nothing happened the entire race, and then on the Oude Quaremont, Bettiol just launched and no one reacted because they apparently couldn't, but nothing happened beforehand. Honestly, one of the worst viewing experiences for the Tour of Flanders I've ever seen. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, last year you have Dylan Teuns would have won, but he got blocked by everyone crashing on the Koppenberg. So that also wasn't. I wouldn't say last year's was a great viewing experience either.
I'm not sure Dylan Teuns was going to win out of everyone, to be honest.
Dude, he was moving. I'm telling you.
He is the Mathieu van der Poel killer, you say?
Van der Poel was cracking at the end, I think. Was Bettiol in the sprint? Was it Bettiol that was with Dylan Teuns? Yeah, it was. Yeah. Teuns and Bettiol, they got blocked by the crash. I think they were unlucky not to finish in the top 5 at worst, actually. Anyway. Yep, Ben Healy, in terms of the classics, not as good as 2023. In the Ardennes, he sort of came back down to earth. 10th at Olympics, but maybe he was going for more of a GC type operation. He was 4th in Bessèges and 4th in Algarve to start the year, but then in the and then in the Tour de France, he tried to get in the breakaway every day and did a normalized power competition to see who could have the most normalized power in the first hour of every stage. But it didn't sort of work out in the end. But he was quite strong throughout the race. But yeah, in terms of results, maybe not the season they were hoping, kicking on from 2023. But he is there. They gave him a big extension, so they do need him to perform. Vandenberg, I think, is a nice addition to the team, Benji. Just adding some sprint victories here and there to pad out the Palmares, which is what they needed with Court leaving.
Yes, certainly, but calling him an addition to the team, I'm not sure I'd put him under that bracket, but what you probably mean is the growth within the team and therefore getting better and better to the point that he's now delivering those results. Vividly, I remember Brabantse Pijl. He was very strong in the final in that race, eventually got 8th, 7th, something like that in that race, but that does not portray the strength he showed in that race and the versatility he showed, because we saw it already in 2025. He already has a stage victory here, so I expect him to get more victories throughout the season, but he's also not going to be the all-winning factor. And he's the kind of guy where if you send him to the Giro or the Tour de France, I'm sorry, but I feel like it's unlikely that he's going to get away with a stage victory, but if you send him to La Vuelta, he might be able to ransom a Vuelta victory into existence. But I also want to add on to Paulus, for example. Nelson Paulus, we've seen in the past that at first he didn't realize he could actually do classics. Then they realized he could do classics. He had good results there. But 2024 was not his year. He ended up skipping the Cobble and Hill Classics, if I recall correctly, something knee injury related, and eventually did get a 6th place in San Sebastian, but that's not the season Paulus was hoping for, I'm pretty sure. And that's kind of on the same page as Healy. Also, like you said, not the season he was hoping for. And Nerurkar then gets the top 5 at Eschborn Frankfurt. So they've got results every now and then, like a top 10 by Honoré at Tour de Polonia GC. Honoré didn't do much for the rest of the season, but that's a valuable result if you then look at the list of results we've mentioned so far. Carapaz getting a top 10 at Romandie. But at the end of the day, I want to make it clear that I want to bring it back to the point that I brought up initially. Whatever happens throughout the rest of the season, they still deliver their Grand Tour stage victories. Jörg Steinhauser was the one in stage 17 of the Giro d'Italia. Strong victory ahead of, I think, Pogacar, then eventually from the GC group. That happened. Then at the Tour de France, we had Richard Carapaz on Super Devolui. Against who was that? Was that the one against Mas? No, it wasn't.
Enrique Mas, Simon Yates.
Also?
Yeah, a lot of hitters, yep.
And he also wins the KOM jersey at the Tour de France, with eventually also a 4th place in GC at the Vuelta for Carapaz. With a rider like Carapaz, you're aiming for a podium at the Grand Tour. So 4th is maybe just under what you're trying to reach for, but it's still a valuable result, the top 5 at a Grand Tour, even though a podium is probably their hope in the first place. But I just wanted to come to the end point of they win quite a bit throughout the season, roughly 25 victories. I'm okay with that for a team like EF. But the most important part is their recurring victories in Grand Tours in terms of stage victories. And they're almost always breakaway stage victories, you know?
Yeah, always. That's what this team is specialized in, is going in the break. And I feel bad for them because there's less breakaways. Well, especially last year in the Giro, like the Pogacar was gobbling up all the breakaways, and the Tour de France as well. Visma and UAE were pacing. Vuelta was a bit different.
In the Tour de France Grand Depart first 2 stages, they didn't go in the break. They thought Bettiol could do it from the peloton.
That was a big error that they decided, because even if you're correct that it's not going to be a breakaway, Bettiol's not going to beat Van Aert in that sprint. So why? That was a little bit strange. So and then stage 2, Ben Healy, I think he beats Vauquelin. Yeah. So on stage 2 in Bologna. So that was sort of the miss, whereas DSM went all in for it. Anyway, I'd say they had a solid year. Certainly they can, the good thing for them is they don't need to worry about UCI points for this 3rd year of the cycle, which is what they had to do for the 2022 season. And that really... It's just something when you're planning the year, you want to plan, okay, let's build this young guy up and get him to target these races and develop naturally in this way. Let's get Carapaz to focus on the Giro and some other preparation races, and he peaks there. Yeah. You can't do that as well when you're having to be like, all right, we got to go to Mitsubishi Classic to get UCI points or whatever. So it's good for them that they don't have to do that. Whereas Astana, that's all they're doing this year. And it probably still won't work. And I think other positives is Steinhauser, Vandenberg, the Nerurkar, the young guys. And then maybe this year you'd expect Carapaz, Paulus, Healy, the big hitters. Or Carapaz, I think if he has the same year is fine. But yeah, Paulus and Healy, you could expect better years, Palmares-wise, particularly from Paulus.
But I would say after that 2024 season, like another positive to me, it's weird to call it a positive, but the positive is that the riders, that the areas where they were weaker throughout the season are areas where they have the riders, but they just didn't perform as usual, which means they didn't necessarily need to sign riders for certain areas. For example, they've got riders for Grand Tour stage victories. That's checkmark. They've got a Grand Tour podium competitor in Carapaz, if you still believe in Carapaz. Then maybe they need a secondary GC rider for like 1 week races, because it's kind of all down to Carapaz right now, unless you see Paulus as the top 10
No,
GC
I think they
emerging.
think that's Healy.
I don't know about that. I haven't seen that yet, personally.
With the TT, with his small size. I think they think that can be Healy, fourth in Algarve. So in the right 1 weeks, I think he can get okay results.
I think it's fair, but I need confirmation. I think that's my take. And then they need to perform better in the classics in 2025 compared to 2024. But like I said, they have the riders for that. Paulus on paper should be able to perform relatively well in classics. Healy should be able to perform relatively well in classic. They just didn't in 2024. So it's not like they need to go out there and sign big name classics riders, but maybe they've done that. We'll talk about that soon. I would also say based on 2024, I would have liked them to sign an extra pro team level sprinter, and maybe perhaps they've done that in the transfer season. Yep. So I'll send it to you. Who's leaving the team?
Rigoberto Urán retires after a long period with the team, but he wasn't adding many results the last 2 years. Anyway, Bettiol, they transferred mid-season, saved probably a lot of salary by getting rid of him to Astana. That was a great move from EF's perspective. Amador retires. De Bod moves down to Terengganu. Bissiger goes to...
De Bod deserves better, in my personal opinion. He was good last week, no? Didn't he get a top 5 somewhere?
He got 12th at Alula Tour.
Close enough.
And yeah, I mean...
At Q36.5, he'd be the second best climber in the Alula squad.
It is kind of surprising that he didn't, that Q36... I mean, he was on Dimension Data before, so
yeah,
I'm surprised, that they didn't, because they got no climbers. I don't know. I don't know. And then they got rid of, they let Seven Bisca went to Decathlon. I think that's totally fine. TT rider that can't win TTs. And Simon Kerr goes to Cofidis. I think they wanted to keep Simon Carr, but then they've got Steinhauser, who's actually winning. He's the better version of him. Jonas Ruch goes to Wanty. Sort of a classics ruler, but not got a great sprint. And then Piccolo got done for bringing drugs into Italy. And so he's gone.
Yeah.
And now he's an OnlyFans specialist. So he actually was a good rider. Well, maybe now we know why. Maybe. But I don't think too many of those riders will be missed, Benji, except maybe Simon Card. I mean, Bettiol is still a good rider. Listen, Alberto Bettiol is... I would never sign him.
Me neither.
That sort of rider who's paid a lot because they won Flanders, where he refuses to train to a power meter or something. He says everything's on feelings. So much talent. I just don't think it's... When you have a lot of young riders wanting to improve, that's not who I would want to have as one of the leaders, personally. Because, they can coast through, then get a result here or there when they want to because they're so talented, and then keep the contracts rolling. So they bring in Alistair McKellar from Hagen's Berman Jayco, the Australian, Max Walker from Astana Devo. There's sort of two low-cost signings. Battistella comes from Astana. He's Battistella is a classic EF rider, I would say. Sort of a Miss Killy sprinter that can't sprint.
It's actually true. That's also how I define Battistella. But he's had some good breakaway adventure 2 years ago, but I haven't seen it for a while, So that's my take with Battistella as well. I do like the signing of Albanese a little bit. He was that kind of rider where we were like, okay.
Albanese is different.
Yeah. He is... Is he the twin brother of Scaroni?
Nah, he's the lighter brother of Luca Mozzaro.
Yes, that's probably a better indication, actually. I like the comparison there. Alex Bodin, did you talk about him yet? Joining the team, was a good climber for Decathlon at the Giro d'Italia. And to be honest, he was in the white jersey for a while, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Bodin was flying.
He got done for Tramadol before 2024, right?
Yeah, he was really slow and bad. Got done for Tramadol, and then the year after he was moving in the Giro.
So he's better without the Tramadol, is what you're saying?
Yes. And so but they probably got him at a discount. If he didn't have the tramadol, issue, French climber like that, the price would be way higher, one would think. But then Decathlon, I think Decathlon had to let him go. If he didn't have the tramadol thing, Decathlon would have re-signed him. They got money.
Because these teams are part of the MPCC, and do they have a rule against tramadol, as in like riders that have been caught for tramadol in the past, or is it more a reputation thing?
I think with tramadol, it was originally prohibited on MPCC before it was banned, but now it's banned anyway. So I think it's just, I think you're obliged to suspend them if you're an MPCC team. I don't know. But yeah, I would say he wouldn't have left Decathlon. But back to Albanese, look at his fucking results. Like, look how consistent. Yeah. 9th in E3. He's not just like he's not just some pre-Bahrain Sonny Colbrelli farmer in Trofeo Mattiotti on a Wednesday in October when everyone's on holiday, coming third or something. He's getting results in like good races throughout the year. I really like Albanese actually, because he can do the Italian ones, he can do Belgian ones. I really like him. But he's also maybe on the cheap because Arkea might be folding, and so he left there after a year, broke his contract or whatever, or they allowed him to leave to go to EF. So I think that was Albanese's a good pickup. As was Baudin. Like Baudin, if you're talking about that second GC guy, Benji, maybe Baudin could be that.
I'm not sold yet. Personally, I need to see more first, but that's fine. He's still young. We'll see next year. Matthijs Mikkels is that secondary sprinter type, though, in my opinion. He's good at classics. Like he was solid at Roubaix. What was the result at Roubaix again? Top 7? 10th. Something like that? 10th, close enough. And he's also got that sprint, that pro team level sprint. He's not going to be winning a Tour de France sprint anytime soon, but he can compete for a Vuelta sprint top 4 at the moment. Depends.
Oh no, he can win Vuelta sprints.
A Joffrey Soup level sprint or someone else.
He came third in European sprint.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
With no leader.
So I believe that's the option next to Marijn van den Berg now as their sprinter. So I like that signing. But like you said, I'm not sure if you said it on camera or off camera, but maybe expecting a little bit more from Mikkels on Bellegarde finish the other day in Bessèges. Did you say that off or on camera?
Off camera. Well, it was yesterday. So, but no, Mikkels are good. I mean, he's 21 years old. He's a sprint. Yeah, he's a great like classic sprinter prospect, and I think could kick on. So I think picking up a rider like that is really interesting for the team. They need fast finishers. It makes sense for him to leave Wanty because he's always, even if he makes a final group of 20, they're going to go for Binny if he's in the same team as Binny. So he gets chances at EF because if he's in a final group of 20 with Asgreen is not as quick as Mikkels in a group sprint. So Asgreen is there. Sorry, yes.
Sorry for bothering you here, but how different is Kasper Asgreen in terms of his delivery of results compared to Bettiol in the last year and a half?
I think Bettiol's had way higher peaks.
Okay.
Bettiol is like gets in shape, performs at the correct level, then goes on holiday. Asgreen just is not performed at all at his previous level. There's no flashes.
True. I only remember the Tour de France stage victory in 2023, which
that's pretty good.
that was something. And it's also, if he can deliver that level at this team, then he's valuable for this team. If he can be relatively consistent in classics, it's valuable for this team. But I don't expect Kasper Asgreen on EF to suddenly start competing for Tour of Flanders victories again. I think that time has long passed.
Actually, yeah, you're right, Benji. He was the strongest guy in the third week of the Tour in those two breakaways. Should have won back-to-back breaks. Also was, but you're right. So that was good. But yeah, in the classics, he's not shown the level of Bettiol. It says 1 year on PCS. I don't know if it's 1 year. EF sometimes just don't say how long the contracts are for to keep people on their toes. But it's a risk because he's not going to be a cheap rider because he's of his Palmares. Also, as you said, he won Tour de France stage. during the year that this deal was probably being negotiated, or the year before this deal was negotiated. So we'll see. But yeah, he's the like-for-like Bettiol replacement. Him, Paulus Mikkels will form and Albanese will form the core of their classics squad, which I think is, and Valgren looks better. I think they needed to do a renewal. I think I would take the new and improved version of the classic squad than the Bettiol and Bissiger version.
Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, I'm also not expecting super high heights from these teams. And then my question arrives at, in RVV, for example, we see the race explode completely. We see some riders fly too close to the sun, trying to follow Mathieu van der Poel and exploding. Would a team like EF be best off not trying to respond to the big guns and just trying to ride RVV Morgado style to try and get a top 7 here or there in those races?
Yeah, that's like the Albanese, or that's the Mazzaro method. That's what Mazzaro did to come second. So, yeah, if you want points, but if you want to actually go for the win, you got to do. I mean, I think why shouldn't Ben Healy do Flanders?
Because he's got to focus on the Hill Classics for me. That's my reason.
Flanders is a Hill Classic.
That's actually a fair point at this day and age.
I feel like he's so light. I feel like the cobbles will bounce him around.
You remember the old parkour of RVV? The Muur van Gerardsbergen one?
Yeah, bring that back. So Van Aert
like modern day cycling, who would be the favorite for that? Would it be Van der Poel over Pogacar compared to Pogacar over Van der Poel for Kuurne RVV?
It would swing it back to Van der Poel.
I think so too.
Yeah, because Quarmont is where Poggy kills everyone because it's 4.5 minutes.
Yep.
And then when you have the Muur, which is actually like you need to be seated, dropping 1,000 watts for 30 seconds. Well, you want De Lee, you want Van Aert, and you want Van der Poel for that.
Patrick Broe, 1,500 watts for 50 seconds.
Exactly. You've seen the videos of me up there. It's really, really astonishing stuff. So I would say their net transfers are a big win. Absolute, quality with Baudin and Mikkels in terms of prospects. I'll take them over the outgoings.
Yeah. Some
decent neo-pro prospects in Walker and McKellar. And then Battistella, that one I could have skipped. Albanese I really, really like, actually. And then Asgren, I don't know what they're paying him, but yeah, could go one
probably
or two
too
ways.
Much.
Yeah, yeah. Like, why didn't he perform in the classics the last 2 years?
I don't know. I can't tell you that.
Last 3 years,
I've not seen him perform. So the hope is that he does the Grand Tour stage victory stuff that Ev is good at. Because in the classics, I just don't necessarily see it from Kasper Asgreen, which let's hope he proves me wrong in that, because I'd like to see good old Caspi back. But I think overall it's a solid transfer season, like you say. I wouldn't call it like the greatest transfer season I've ever seen in my entire life, but it's the areas that I want the team to improve in that have improved. The only thing that's still missing for me is like a confirmed secondary GC option for 1 week races, and maybe the riders they have can grow into that, but I haven't seen it yet.
I think Quickstep, I'm surprised they didn't sign Mikkels.
Yep. Lots of teams.
Yeah, maybe they got Merlier. They think Merlier can win Gent-Wevelgem, but I think he would have fit there. So that's, I think, pretty good transfer window. All right, how many World Tour victories for the team, Benji? Last year they had 4, right?
4 and 3 in the last 3 years. I think they're going to the easy go-to number is 4, but I am going to I don't necessarily see it improve by a lot either. So I'm gonna go for 4 World Tour victories again.
Trying to think.
Play safe.
Because Vandenberg, I think he looks pretty good.
He does. But World Tour victory good?
World Tour victories are hard, because where will Healy win World Tour victories?
Stage victory somewhere?
What race is he doing? Doesn't say. I'm going to go with 5. I think they're going to Healy, Carapaz, Powers, Asgren, And Vandenberg, I reckon they can rack up 5. With Pals being a bit better this year without the injury.
I see that.
Hot takes for the team.
Ooh. Interesting. A hot take for this team. Which rider on EF is most likely to become an OnlyFans competitor of Piccolo?
Oh, good question. Let me have a look.
Are you actually going to look at their pictures for it?
Yeah.
What have I started? Oh, no. I don't want to know what you're thinking with that laugh. I'm sorry.
I'm going to go with... with Rui Costa.
God. I forgot he existed. I'm not even lying.
Rui Costa. He's got this is his last year probably. So, post-career retirement planning.
Albanese looks so incredibly smart on his picture.
Yeah, Albanese with the funny glasses. Owen Doull's probably the best looking guy on the team. So I reckon, Doull.
Really?
Doull could do. Yeah, I reckon Doull's strong jaw, good beard, good hairline. What is he? Yeah, in his 30s, great hairline.
I'll take it.
Yeah. You'll sub to Owen Doull's OnlyFans.
No, I'm afraid not. I'm sorry, Owen, but I'm not necessarily sold here. You'd have to pay me.
Hughes the goat.
He's a nice guy.
Okay. Any other hot takes then, Ben?
I don't have any other hot takes, dude. I'm looking at Albanese is going to podium. Oh, what the fuck is this guy gonna ride this year? That's the big question.
Giro for sure.
Albanese is gonna get exactly 8th at Milano Sanremo.
I think
that's so unrealistic, by the way. I don't see it happening at all.
I really don't have many holes in the chamber. I just don't have many in front of mind. I'm gonna go Mattis Mikkels, Podium Roubaix, get that in there. And
I think we've said that about like 10 riders so far.
Exactly. And I'll go with...
You never said 2025, so if he does it in 2 years, still okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm out of them. Okay.
What will Nerurkar do?
What will Nerurkar do?
I was a bit disappointed by Sterlander personally, but
yeah,
I'm still positive, you know? Like his Dauphiné result last year was good.
Nerurkar will win a stage at Tirreno, one of those hard sprints uphill. Because no Poggy. Yeah, it's... I think, let's go with that. Nerurkar winning a stage at Tirreno. I think EF are going to keep winning more than they did in terms of overall wins. They got a lot more fast men now, which is always useful, in Albanese, Mikkels, and Asgreen to a certain extent. Marion van den Berg's improved, so they're actually building a bit more speed throughout the roster. They've still got the climbers like Baudin, who, Baudin can replace Simon Carr in breakaways, maybe even better than that. Yep. So they're still keeping true to that philosophy. Interested to see how they go. Carapaz, it's all on him. Their best chance of going to a podium is him at the Giro. I think that's very much the correct scheduling to send him to the Giro. And I'm looking for, I think it'll be an exciting race with him there.
But the Giro and the Vuelta are the biggest chances for stage victories seemingly in the last couple of years.
Oh, especially the Giro Sans. Yeah. Because if Roglic, Roglic is not a break chaser.
Yeah. But does that not mean that you almost have to combine Healy with Carapaz at the same races? And in the Tour de France, it's interesting because at the Tour de France, you like to have Ben Healy for breakaways. But if there's not many breakaway victories at the Tour de France, then what's the point to begin with?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the tricky part. And then do you actually just want to take a better, if there's maybe a week 3 mountain break, take Baudin rather than Healy. So, yeah, but then combining the Ardennes with the Giro, I think Healy's done it before, but it's tricky. So, well, he did it successfully in 23, right?
He did.
Yeah, he won a Giro stage and was cooking in the Ardennes, so he would have won Amstel. So, you're right. It is tough to know. You're kind of basing what Grand Tours you do. Because, like, yeah, if you go in Vingegaard and Pogacar there, then they're just going to chase the break every day and there's no breaks.
When it comes to Marijn van den Berg, he's that kind of rider that you have loved sending to like the smaller 1 week races, etc.
He should do the Tour.
But I also see Tour Vuelta combination as not a bad thing for him either.
He should do the Tour because the Giro will have Koi and like proper flat sprints. Although the Tour is hitters, but then it's not. He's not going to win those pancake flat sprints in the Giro or the Tour. He needs like the harder sprints, which we do have in week 1. So maybe the Tour sprints suit him better.
But is he good enough to warrant sending to the Tour for like, what's his chance of getting a top 3 on Muda Britannia? I don't see a top 3 happening there.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know his limitations, but that's an interesting one. I would say he'll do the Tour because Carapaz doing the Giro, and then you send Albanese for breaks in the Giro. He's also Italian. It's the law. So he has to go to the Giro.
Yep, with Battistella, another Italian.
Yep. I'll probably send Asgren to the Giro too because there's that gravel stage. It's not that hard. I'll send him to the Giro as well. Okay, that was our EF Education EasyPost preview. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.